Hello everyone, it's Maha. Welcome back. Another quiet Sunday today, so I get to make a video. It's nice to be with you again here sooner than later. I thought today was a good opportunity for me to make a video and share some of the books that I'm currently working on. I want to say working on, not reading, because I'm really slowly working through these books. I'm not thinking of finishing them and reading them, but more like absorbing them, learning from them, integrating them into my daily life and my spiritual practice. So I thought it was really interesting because so much of what I'm reading right now, which unconsciously I gravitated towards, came to me in perfect timing and was almost really synchronistic with what's been going on with me in my own personal life. So two of these books, there aren't too many. Two of them are physical books. One of them is a guidebook. And then I have four books on my Kindle that I want to talk about. And these are really amazing books. Like, I'm really enjoying them, learning so much. And funny enough, a couple of them, or three of them actually, are books that I've already sort of read before, but haven't looked at in a long time. So the first one is Tarot for the Healing Heart. And I think most of you know this book, or a lot of you do, by Jette. I'm gonna put all the descriptions, or the authors and the titles of the book, down below in the description menu, just in case I forget a name or say the incorrect name, and for your reference, of course. So this is a book that I finished reading and working through about, I want to say 3 years ago. But it's sometimes when you go back to a book that you've already looked at or you've already read, you find subtle richness of it that you maybe somehow missed, or maybe what it is that we change as we go through our lives, and even if we're looking at the same thing or the same book, reading the same book, we're picking up different things from it depending on where we're at in our lives. At least that's how I think about it. So what's really synchronistic is, I sort of talked about this in my previous video that I posted about some updates. I talked very briefly about how I've gone through a really, really difficult heartbreak recently. And what I find very synchronistic is that a lot of these books are touching on the subject of the heart, even if they're not directly connected to the heart. And that just sort of happened simultaneously with what I've been going through. I just find it so interesting how these things are connected. This relationship that ended for me was also synchronistically, it ended on the full moon in Libra. And I didn't even connect the dots until that night when I saw the moon and how gorgeous it was. I think it was the pink moon. And then I thought, wait a minute, what sign is the moon in? And it was in Libra, full moon in Libra. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is so interesting. So I did some more research on that. And what I found was just so incredible, because it really spoke about what I was going through. A sense of a completion of something, and Libra, of course, being the sign of relationships. And so it's really nice when you make these connections. To me, it's nice to give meaning to what I'm going through the stars, through synchronicities in my life. Not that it makes the pain of what's happening go away or lessen it, but finding that meaning helps me to see the purpose that it might serve in my own unfoldment, my own soul's purpose, or my soul's unfoldment, my own journey, my path, and my healing, my spiritual development. It helps me to see the bigger picture, see how everything is connected, really. And sometimes I lose touch of that. Sometimes I forget, And I think for me, finding these meanings is helpful because it helps me to remember the important thing, the most important thing, which is to remember who you are and to remember where you're at, and that everything really ultimately is happening for a reason, is having some meaning, and is helping you to grow, no matter how challenging it can be. That really helps me to get through it. And of course, these books have been really heart-centered. Now, this Tarot for the Healing Heart, it's a lot about healing in general. It's not just about physical healing or emotional healing. It's just in general. It's a very spiritual way of working with tarot for personal growth, which is really at the core of how I use tarot. I do read for people and for myself, but for me it's a spiritual tool. It's a personal and spiritual development tool that I'm learning a lot from as I go. And one thing, see, my videos are never really just about what I'm going to talk about. They always diverge, but that's just my nature. One thing I've been thinking about is, when I talked about this, I kind of touched on it on my previous video, where after some time of having this channel and creating videos, I felt there was this period where I felt sort of stagnant, and I felt like not so excited about making videos anymore. Not that I felt just that way with YouTube. It was actually with so many different aspects of my life, and it was that I was feeling stagnant in my learning, in my spiritual development, in astrology, with tarot, with all the things that I love. And I thought for a while I was very sad about it because I didn't know why that was happening. And what I realize now is that I was going through this transition, this middle space period where I had already, like, in the beginning where everything is new and you're just like, wow, all these things, it's amazing. And then you reach a part where you've already gained a lot of knowledge, and now you have to go to the next stage of development. But that in-between stage could be either like a make it or break it. Do I want to go through it and then come out of it and then go, wow, a whole different world opens up where I'm integrating these things on a very rich and deep level? But that middle space this is a bit difficult to explain, but that middle space it's a hard place to be. I felt that I just needed to get through it. Like they say, the only way out is through. I really felt like I needed to get through it. And now it's like I'm having this fresh sense of discovering all these metaphysical things that I love, tarot, astrology, all these things, but in a deeper way, in a much, much deeper way. So the learning has changed. The level of learning has now changed. And so it's synchronistic that I'm coming back to some of the books that I had already read before, and I'm looking through them and just really discovering in between the lines, and then applying that to my own life and my own experiences. I think when we go through really, really challenging times is sometimes when we really do our deep, deep learning. At least that's what's been happening with me in the past few years. So, Tarot for the Healing Heart, I'm working through it. I would like to pick a deck, or a couple of decks actually, that I can stick to while I'm working with this book. I've only just started, I'm probably in the 3rd chapter. I want to take my time with it, which is why I said I'm working through these books, because there's no need for me to finish any books. I'm going with my own time, with my own pace. And I have a lot of reading to do for my courses that I'm taking, my astrology and herbalism courses. Really, I have a ton of reading to do. So right now, the reading that I do for my own spirituality, my own pleasure, is sort of limited. It's limited. So I can only fit so many books in with my time. And so I'm taking my time and just sort of really, really savoring these books. I want to come back to this Tarot for the Healing Heart later on in the future. I want to talk about these books, but I will definitely, I was thinking of making a video where I talk about the heart mind, because all of these things have been happening to me lately that keep coming back to the heart. The heart, self-love, self-compassion. The heart, self-love. So I keep coming back to it. So I'm thinking, all of this is happening for a reason. I'm sure I'll have much more to talk about. So I just wanted to say that I'm starting this book right now. I'll probably talk about it. I'm thinking of using the really, there's two decks that I'm thinking about using right now. One is the Cheimonette Tarot, and one is the, oh gosh, what is it called? I'll write it down in the description box. Right now I'm blanking out. But it's more childlike, more colorful. So I will, when I worked with this book a little more, I will share those decks and talk about my experiences with them, because I didn't want to. I find that I have this way of cramming so many different things into one video, because I always think I don't have enough to talk about, but then I realize I actually have so much to talk about, and my videos drag on more than I'd like them to be. So that's one book I'm reading, and then I'm reading a guidebook, which is the Spirit Song Tarot by Paulina Cassidy. I like reading guidebooks. I'm a guidebook person for sure. And I'm reading this book for pleasure and for getting back to tarot again. I got this deck a long time ago, but I haven't really used it much at all for some reason. So I thought right now, along with the two other decks, I think I'm going to work with these three decks. The deck, and I'll also be reading this guidebook and enjoying that, taking my time with it. So then other books that I have are on my Kindle. One of them is sort of similar to this, funny enough. It's called Crystal Healing for the Heart. And I can't remember the author's name, but I will write it down in the description box. That book, if you haven't heard of that book, I think it's a really great combo with this one. And lately I've been really getting intimate and connecting with crystals more than anything, more than tarot, more than anything else. I've been just really, really surrounding myself with crystal energy, especially after all this corona stuff happening. I don't know, it's just something about the crystal energy that's been really, really soothing to me and really comforting. So I wanted to, when I make the other video about the heart, I will definitely talk about some of the techniques that I'm using with crystals that I will be also hopefully working with from this Crystal Healing for the Heart book. And this is another book that I actually already read about 2.5 years ago. So I'm reading it again, and it's interesting because the first time I read it, I was like, meh. Now I'm really enjoying it. That's just it. It never ceases to like amaze me how that happens. And then I went and researched this other book that was recommended to me by Seja Popham, who is the instructor for the evolutionary herbalism course that I told you about in the previous video that I'm taking. And he recommended a book called, I wrote it down, Secret Teachings of Plants. Secret Teachings of Plants. This is an amazingly rich book, and it's not like a typical herbalism plant book, materia medica, where you have like this herb is good for this and this and this. No, it's more about connecting with plants from the heart. The book itself is divided into two big chunks, big sections. The first section is systole, and then the other section is diastole. So you have the systole and diastole, which is the physical movement of the blood through the heart. The systole, the pumping, and the diastole, the relaxation. So the book is divided into these two halves, where the systole part is more about the anatomy of the heart, more like the science of the heart and perception, and how the heart is an organ of perception. So they talk about that. And then the second part is about just the spiritual element of coming into the heart. This book is so beautifully written. It's so poetic. It's one of those books that I'm probably going to read for the rest of my life. And again, another coincidence, because I didn't really know what this book was like. I know it was a recommendation. That's all I went by. And then when I saw how intimately linked to the heart it is, I was just blown away. Especially because right now, and for the past few weeks, what we've been focusing on in the class is the heart. So we've been going through the different organs, and in the past few weeks I've been really learning about the heart, looking at the diagram of the heart, just really learning about the physical heart. And then Seja talks about heart, the organ of perception, and how as healers we must understand what it's like to work from the heart. Wow. All I can say to all of you is, wow, there's too much going on right now, and I'm being thrown back to the same point, the heart, the center, you know? And so I'm just finding all these coincidences, these meaningful coincidences, very beautiful. And I wanted to, actually, I was thinking of reading you something that Seja Pampam says in the course about the heart, but I thought I'd save it for the next video where I talk more about just get deeper with the heart, talking about crystals and these books when I get more into working with them, hopefully soon. So there is those 3 books, and then the other book I've been reading. This is, oh my gosh, all of these books, I have to say, I wouldn't be sharing this video with you if all of these books were not hands down amazing, all caps. Like, seriously, you please check them out. If you're at all interested in what I'm talking about, just check them out. So the other one's called Into the Magic Shop, and it's by James Doty. He's a neurosurgeon, and he has the Center for Mindfulness Self-Compassion that he leads. He's got tons of videos on YouTube. Amazing, amazing soul. What a brilliant mind. And how he's written this book is just so poetic. So he's got, you know, both the left and right brain really in balance, because the way he writes is like very artistic, but at the same time he's so scientific. So it's just gorgeous, gorgeous of a book. Into the Magic Shop. And what it's about is he's basically talking about an experience he's had when he was 12 years old and went to this magic shop and met this woman who taught him magic, mind magic. And he was thinking it's going to be magic tricks, but then it ended up being like this very deep dive into working with your mind, teaching him meditation and all these things. And he brings back those memories and then links them to how, because it is a personal development, self-help type of book. So he talks about, you know, exercises, meditations, and how, like, he tells the story and then brings it to practicality and teaches us about the workings of the heart and mind. And I haven't gotten to the second part of the book yet, where he talks more about compassion and opening the heart. It's just an amazing book, and I'm really inspired by this book right now. So again, all these books are connected to the same core of the heart. So let's see. Oh yeah, and then the other one I'm reading is Subtle Aromatherapy. This is a book that I got probably like 5 years ago by Patricia Davies, who's one of my favorite, legendary aromatherapists, was one of my favorite authors on this subject, on essential oils and aromatherapy. And Subtle Aromatherapy, this book I read 5 years ago, and you know what? Honestly, I just didn't really get much out of it. I think maybe it was like, maybe 7 years ago. I was just delving into vibrational healing and energy, and it was sort of I was in the Page of Swords stage, so I was kind of just a beginner. And I was, I guess, more interested in learning how essential oils work on a physical level, and so this stuff was a little bit beyond me at the time. But now, since I've gotten all this knowledge and understanding of essential oils, and I've worked with them and experienced them, I've been finding that on an energetic level, essential oils are really speaking to me. I'm being called to work with them on an energetic level for the past probably 6 months or so. And especially because I've been using them a lot in meditation and before bed and just throughout the day for their energy. And I remembered this book that I read. I remembered, oh, I have this book somewhere in my archives on my Kindle, Subtle Aromatherapy. And I remembered I didn't really enjoy it that much. That's all I remembered. So I thought, you know what? It feels right now. So I got the book back from my archives and I'm reading it, and it's like, wow, this is totally what I need to be reading right now. And again, I read this book thinking, I remember I didn't really like it. And then now I'm reading it and I'm thinking, wow, this is so resonating. It's just so resonating right now. It's so perfect right now. So yeah, and you can probably tell that these books are really all sort of connected in a way. I mean, I guess in a way all of these books are connected. All of the books that I have been really into lately are connected because there are things that I'm interested in. But more so now with these books specifically. So I'm working on these, just working on them. I find that for me, reading these types of books is more conducive to evening time, just before twilight. During the day, I'm very much on my left brain side. I'm learning, I'm studying, I'm working on like my book and really focused, concentrated. And then in the evening is when I feel like, now I feel like working on tarot books and meditation books and subtle energy book and stuff like that. I don't know about you, if this is how you feel, if you have different books for different times of the day, or I just find that that's more how I operate. So that's all I wanted to share in this video. My aim is to make more frequent videos and shorter videos. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I thank you very much for being here. I hope that you're all doing well and taking care, and I would love to hear what you think about these books. Have you read any of them yourselves? And please do check them out if you haven't. I'm sending you lots of love as always, and kisses. Blessings. Bye everyone. See you in the next video.